A very warm good morning to one and all present over here class. Welcome to the digital platform of APS. Now this is Pawan Kumar. Today I will discuss some topics related to vectors. So class, in previous lecture I have discussed the questions related to definite integrals, and I have completed so many questions related to special integrals. So see, now in today lecture I will discuss the topic or chapter vector. Now new topic is vector algebra. Vector algebra. Now see, now in vector algebra, first of all I will come to the position vector of a point. First topic is position vector of a point. Position vector of a point. The position vector of a point P with respect to fixed point O, consider origin, of a point P with respect to origin or with respect to any fixed point, with respect to any fixed point O we have considered is the vector OP, is the vector OP, and where O is the origin, and P coordinates we can consider that is O coordinate is 0, 0, 0, and P that is P coordinate x, y, z. What we can write? See, consider in xyz plane or xy, x-axis, z-axis and y-axis, this is consider any point P having coordinates x, y, z. This is the origin 0, 0, 0. This is the line OP. Now you can see. Now OP, what we can write? OP, what we can write? OP vector we can write x I और x माइनस 0 I प्लस y माइनस 0 j प्लस z माइनस 0 k and OP is equal to this is xi plus yj plus zk, where ijk are the unit vectors. Ijk are the unit vectors. And we can consider r is equal to also. We can consider r is equal to, so r is equal to, we can write this is xi plus yj plus zk. Now see, now I will come to the next heading. The next heading is types of vector. You know, the types of vector. Now see, types of vector. Second heading is types of vectors. So how many types of vectors? You will see first is first vector is we are going to consider, that is zero vector. Zero vector, and zero vector is also known as a null vector. Null vector. Null vector. Now second is unit vector. Second is unit vector. Now third is proper vector. Proper vector. And now fourth is negative of a vector. Negative of a vector. Now fifth is co-initial vectors. Co-initial vectors. Now next collinear vectors. Next type is collinear vectors. Collinear vectors. Other is like vectors. Seventh is like vectors. Eighth is free vectors. Eighth is free vectors. Now ninth is coplanar vectors. Coplanar vectors. Ninth is coplanar vectors. And 10th is free vectors. Free vector I have completed. Equal vectors or localized vectors. Localized vectors. So see, localized vectors. And now 11th is equal vectors. 11th is equal vectors. Equal vectors. And 10th is unlike vectors. Unlike vectors. Suppose like and unlike vector is here. Unlike vectors. Unlike vectors. See. And non-coplanar is also. So other is non-coplanar. Vectors. Non-coplanar vectors. So see, I have written all 10 to 12 types of vectors. So first vector is, zero vector whose magnitude is 0, unit vector whose magnitude is 1, and a proper vector, a vector which is not a 0, that is proper vector, and unit vector, negative of a vector, co-initial vectors, collinear vectors, like vectors, unlike vectors, free vectors, and coplanar vectors also. All vectors lie in the same plane, that is coplanar, and non-coplanar, localized vectors, and equal vectors. Now I will come to the next. Explanation of each vectors. So see, in types of vector, first vector you know, that is unit vector or a zero vector I have written. So what is zero vector? First type is zero vector or null vector. Zero vector or null vector. So you know, zero vector or null vector is a vector whose magnitude is 0, a vector whose terminal and initial points coincide, that is null vector. Means magnitude is 0, that is mod of A, result 0. Vector A is zero vector. Second is initial and terminal points. Initial and terminal points coincide. Initial and terminal points coincide. Means suppose this is the vector, this is the initial point and this is the terminal point. This point, suppose this is A and this is B. So A and B are coincide. When A and B are coincide, then AB vector will be zero vector. AB vector will be zero vector. Now you can see, this is the initial point and this is the terminal point. And what is initial point? The point from where the vector A, B starts. Initial point, the point where or the point where the vector AB starts. This is initial. This is initial. And now the point B where it ends. So here I will write, you will see, the point where the point where vector AB ends. This is terminal point. Now see, and the distance between initial and terminal points of a vector, distance between terminal and initial point of a vector, this is the length of vector. So what we can write about AB? See, the distance between the distance between initial and terminal point, that is length of vector. That is length of vector. Length of vector. Length of vector. Now see, so this is the length, and this one we can write mod of AB. Mod of AB. So this one is mod of AB. Now see, mod of AB is the length of vector. This is also known as the magnitude of vector, and its initial and terminal points are overlap, then it will said to be zero vector. In zero vector, the magnitude is 0. Now see, if any doubts, can clear it. See, this is also the magnitude. This is magnitude. This is magnitude.